In the modern world, power doesn't live in palaces. It lives in data, emails, phones, cloud accounts, recovery questions. The assumption is simple. If anyone understands digital security, it must be the people who run the world's most powerful intelligence agencies. In 2015, the United States believed exactly that. The CIA had walls, invisible ones, firewalls, encryption, surveillance. And yet, on an otherwise unremarkable night, none of that mattered. Because the breach didn't begin with an attack. It began with normal life. John Brennan was not just another government official. He was the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. He had overseen counterterrorism operations, drone programs, and global intelligence coordination. But that night, he wasn't in a secure facility. He was home, using personal devices, personal email, a personal phone service. This distinction matters because classified systems are protected by layers of protocol. Personal life is protected by habit, and habits are where security quietly dies. Thousands of miles away, another screen glowed. A teenager, no suit, no badge, no clearance. Just a bedroom, a chair, an internet connection. His name was Kane Gamble. He was 15 years old. He lived in the United Kingdom. At this point in his life, he was not planning to hack the CIA. Kane wasn't alone online. He was part of a loose digital group calling itself Crack Us with Attitude. They weren't professionals. They had no hierarchy. They didn't even fully trust one another. What they shared was time, curiosity, and a belief that powerful people were careless. When people hear the word hack, they imagine code. Screens filled with green text, complex exploits, impossible mathematics. At some point, Kane made an extraordinary decision. He didn't aim sideways. He aimed up, not at corporations, not at celebrities, at the man running the CIA. This wasn't confidence. It was disbelief. Disbelief that someone so powerful could be careless. And disbelief is dangerous because sometimes it's correct. This is the most important moment in the story because nothing illegal has happened yet. No breach, no access, no crime, just a decision. A phone number dialed, a voice chosen, a sentence rehearsed. Every major breach in history has a moment like this. A breath, and then a lie. What happened next would embarrass the most powerful intelligence agency on Earth, not because of what was stolen, but because of how easily the door was opened. The most dangerous part of this story isn't what happened. It's how little had to happen for everything to fall apart. A phone call doesn't feel like a crime. It feels ordinary, which is exactly why it works. Kane didn't shout. He didn't rush. He sounded calm, professional, certain. He claimed to be calling on behalf of John Brennan. And on the other end of the line, a customer service representative listened. This is where systems fail. Not because of weakness, but because they are designed to help. Questions were asked. Kane answered. Some answers were guessed. Some were inferred. Some were simply close enough. And then something irreversible happened. The account access was reset. Access doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't arrive with music or flashing lights. It arrives quietly. A page refreshes. An inbox loads. And suddenly, a line has been crossed. Inside the inbox were years of personal communications. Not classified systems, but sensitive material. Names, contacts, attachments. The kind of information intelligence agencies warn people never to leave exposed. At first, Kane didn't fully understand what he was seeing. Then it hit him. This wasn't a prank anymore. This was real. and reality has consequences. Cain did not stay silent. This is where the story changes shape. Instead of hiding, he spoke. He shared screenshots. He contacted journalists. He contacted U.S. authorities. This wasn't about money. It was about proving something. That power could be embarrassed. Eventually, the silence broke. The CIA confirmed a breach with a critical clarification. No classified systems were compromised. This distinction mattered legally, politically, and publicly. But reputational damage didn't care. Headlines spread. The world learned something uncomfortable. Security doesn't fail at the highest level because of technology. It fails because people believe they're untouchable. Once the breach became public, jurisdiction shifted. The FBI became involved. This was no longer an embarrassment. It was a crime. International cooperation began quietly. Digital footprints were traced. IP addresses analyzed. Patterns emerged. Eventually, the trail led overseas, to the United Kingdom, to a teenager, to Cain Gamble. British authorities made the arrest. There was no chase, no dramatic standoff, just a knock on the door. The end of most hacking stories looks nothing like the movies. No flashing lights, no press frenzy, no villain monologue, just a teenager standing in a British courtroom. Cain Gamble did not look powerful. He did not look dangerous. He looked young. The charges did not say, hacked the CIA. They said unauthorized access, harassment, threats, and data misuse. Because legally, that's what this was. Not espionage, not cyber war. A crime enabled by trust. The court considered Cain's age, his intent, and the scale of impact. He was sentenced to 2 years in a UK youth detention facility, not for breaking the CIA, but for exposing how fragile personal security can be. The punishment wasn't symbolic. It was corrective. The system didn't want a villain. It wanted a lesson. Governments reacted quietly. Intelligence agencies did not hold press conferences. They reviewed protocols. Policies changed, not publicly, but internally. The story faded from headlines, but it did not fade from memory. The world forgets quickly. Institutions don't. For decades, intelligence agencies projected one message: we see everything. This story cracked that illusion. Because the breach didn't come from foreign intelligence services, zero-day exploits, or supercomputers. It came from a phone call, a polite voice, a customer service script. The strongest systems in the world were undone by the weakest assumption that powerful people are careful. This story isn't about Cain Gamble. It's about structure, about how modern power works. We assume people follow protocol. That authority equals competence. That titles equal caution. But humans don't change just because they gain power. They reuse passwords. They trust familiar processes. They assume this won't happen to me. Security is always balanced against usability. Usability usually wins. Until it doesn't. Every security system has a weakness. It must trust someone. After this case, things changed. Two-factor authentication expanded. Personal email use faced stricter scrutiny. Cybersecurity training spread beyond IT departments. But the most important change was cultural. Rank does not protect you from mistakes. The kid didn't break the CIA. He revealed something far worse: that even the most powerful institutions depend on ordinary people making ordinary decisions every single day. In a world obsessed with stronger encryption, faster systems, and smarter algorithms, the greatest vulnerability remains unchanged: human trust. Because no matter how advanced the system is, someone still has to answer the phone. And sometimes, that's all it takes.